Here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the FSA podcast. I'm here with my lovely guest, Emily Ruffton. Emily, how are you today, my friend?
I'm wonderful. Happy to be here.
Yes, I'm excited. So, the topic for today is just going to be it's going to kind of be all over the place, but the generalized theme is going to be, this is our first Fit Pro coming on the podcast. So like we get to get, her perspective on everything. She's actually a current student of ours, and don't worry, guys, this isn't going to be a 50-minute testimonial. I'll refrain from that, but I want to get to know her a little bit more, what she's been working on, and kind of her perspective, starting her own online fitness business. So I'll let you kind of introduce yourself, Emily.
Hi. Well, I can't believe I get to be number one. I do on the podcast. That's exciting. My name it's pronounced Emily Roughton. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. I've owned my company. So my company's called Full Circle Coaching. I've owned this specific company for it'll be 2 years in February.
Very cool. Very cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what got you into, what were you doing prior to fitness coaching? And then what kind of inspired that transition?
So I've been a personal trainer for over about 11 years. A little over 10 years. I was in person forever. I managed a gym. And I started, my original business was called Emmy Fit, which is my Instagram. So it's just Emmy Fit. And I would write templated programs and host like live events and stuff. Mm-hmm. Cause I love people. So like, I love in person. Yeah. And so, but then I started Full Circle. What got me to this level, or like to do online, is I had moved to Colorado, and long story short, I couldn't find a job to save my life because it was the end of 2020. Nice. So I was like, I'm just gonna start my own business.
Beautiful. So that's what kind of that's what kind of prompted you to go online versus in person, was just scarcity of jobs.
Yeah, right? Well, I had moved to Colorado actually not wanting to do personal training at all. I was like, I'm over in-person training. Like, anyone's in person, it is exhausting. You don't get paid enough, and you work the shittiest hours known to like man. So when I moved to Colorado, I was like, absolutely not. I am not working at a gym, but nowhere would hire me. So I was like, well, God clearly wants me to do this, so I just need to stick with it.
Very cool. Very cool. And tell us, because I'm sure there's going to be some people listening here that are in person and that have considered going online. What are like a couple pros and cons that you've found so far?
Well, there's a million pros, I would
say. All right.
The pros are easy. The pros of online, you can help more people in more areas of the world. Like when I first started Full Circle, I had clients in Hawaii. I had a client in Alaska, Arizona, like all over the place. I was like, I would never meet these people otherwise. Like, yeah, that's like wild. The biggest pro. The other pro, you make way more money. You have a hell of a lot better schedule. You also don't have like a gym like breathing down your neck to do this like quota bullshit that you don't want to do. That's a huge pro. There's also like no politics like a gym, because it's literally
just you and the animals, right?
Yeah. And so those are all the pros. I would say the cons, it's small, and it depends on the type of person you are. Like I said, I'm an extrovert. I get energy by being around people. So that is like the only con that I've encountered. But you go to conferences and you make friends and you go visit them that are also in this field. So that helps. But I would say that's the smallest con.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's a really good take too. And it almost comes down to like that, like the concept of trading time for money, right? So like when you're in person, you're quite literally trading time for money, right? You have to be there in person, physically training them. Whereas like, when you're online, like, I'm just curious, like, do you batch your day in like a certain way? Do you like to do like these things at this time and just try to like create like space in your calendar, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like time for money, right? Like when you're in person, it's like a slot that you have to dedicate to one person. You can't help as many people. That's another con. Like you can't help as many people in a day. I can literally, when I was by myself before I had a team, I had 60 clients by myself. Yeah. So I could help 20 to 30 people a day. Cause I would like, yeah, I like front load
Stagger.
my week and I break my day up in two halves. And then it's like first half is like client delivery, marketing, systems, business stuff, lunch, walks, then calls all the rest of the afternoon.
Nice. Nice. Sounds like you have like some me time in there. Like you're not just confined to like a space.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like you don't have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to get to the gym at
Right.
5 for your first
Oh
client,
goodness.
like an in-person.
Yes. And I think that's like another topic too. Is like when you're at home, like you have it's kind of interesting. You get into such a routine. I don't know if you're the same way, but like we when I say we, I mean Brooke and I, like we get into these habits where like we just it's gym, maybe
Yeah.
groceries and then work and we're like, wow, like we are in a routine. We got to break the cycle. Do you ever do anything to just kind of break the cycle midday, midweek to just get out and do something?
Yeah. So same, me and Austin, my fiance, we are like routine machines, right?
Right.
Like
There's a way to
he's in
put
the
it.
military. So like he's really good at routines and same.
Yeah.
So we will like well, extracurricular activities. So like join a class or something. But mostly what I'll do is like if I notice like there's a day, like for example, this week, Friday's looking like very sparse. So I might like go ahead and just block it off and I'm going to go to a coffee shop and like crank out
Beautiful.
a to-do list or something. And that,
Mhm.
I don't know about everyone, that fills my cup up. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like you get so much done and like you're out and I love where I live. So it helps. And then on the
Yeah.
weekends too.
I think that's I think that's a great point. It's just like getting out and realizing like because the reason that we don't work physical like regimented jobs from 9 to 5 is because like we want to get out and enjoy ourselves and then we build a
Yes,
home
I
office
never
and then we
do.
realize, oh shit, like I did it again, right?
Yeah. I have had weeks where like I've told Austin, I go, I have not gone anywhere. I've literally
Right.
not left the house except for the gym. The
Yep.
other day, Austin was even like, maybe we should sell your car because all you do is go to the gym, the coffee shop, and maybe the grocery store.
Me and Brooke had this conversation on a walk yesterday, literally yesterday, right? We said the exact same thing. And it's just, I guess to bring all this full circle, it's like, I think it's human nature to like get into these routines. And when you work from home and when you do online training and when you like build a business where like you're in charge, you have that capability. Friday looks a little light. Why don't we just take the day off? Or why don't we just go work here? Right. I think
Yeah.
that like reminding yourself why you do what you do is I think extremely important.
Oh yeah, and it's good for your mental health because as a business owner, you could work for eternity. Like you
Yes.
could, if I didn't have boundaries, if I didn't have Austin, I probably would never leave this desk.
Mhm.
Like during the weekday, like I could sit here till 9 o'clock if I wanted to, but like having boundaries and remembering why you do this is important. Like I did this for freedom and flexibility and like
Yep.
traveling, right? And so like we have rules in our house. Like Austin's like it's 7:30, like you're
Yep.
out of the room. Like you got to come into the living room. And so
Beautiful.
we have boundaries to help that. But
That's that's it's funny how like similar our situations are because it's I'm sure a lot of other people, a lot of listeners are dealing with something similar too. It's like when we're business owners, like I am tight on my schedule. Like I have everything planned from the moment I wake up, to the
yeah.
end of the day. But it's funny because like when it's something personal, right? When it's time to relax or when it's dinner time, I can push those boundaries a little bit, but I will not be late for a call. You'll never catch
Yes.
me rolling into a call late, but yet for my own dinner, I'll be like 2 hours behind. So it's like,
Like I'm coming. I'm coming. I'll be there in
yep,
1 second. Right. I'll be there in 1 second.
exactly, exactly. So that was something big that Brooke and I worked on as well. Is like, like 6 o'clock, I'm done. I'm done. I'll respond to some things here and there, but like if you continue pushing like your own boundaries, you will burn yourself out so quick.
Yeah. And I experienced burnout for the first time this year from not in like sticking to my personal boundaries. And
What
it's
was that like?
well, I am very like anyone who knows me, I'm a very positive person. So I was like, I'm not burning out. I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm just tired, right? I'm just
Right.
tired. Like, and I
Perpetually,
would
right?
like, and I was like, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then I like one Sunday, like slept the entire day, and then
Wow.
I like started crying, and then I just started crying, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this is burnout. It just like came to like a head, and I
Gotcha.
had to face that music essentially.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. It's like you put it off for so long, then it just like kind of smacks you in the face. It's like, no, no, I'm here, right? Acknowledge me.
Yes.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
crucial. And one of the big things that I always talk about with students, and I know you and I have spoke about it as well, is just like that maximizing your time in the business, right?
Mhm.
I shout it from the mountaintops. I preach it every single day to people, whether it be on sales calls, student calls, personal life, whatever it is. Like there's two ways to scale your business, right?
Mhm.
There's option one, where you put fuel on the fire, right? And you grow it that way. Okay.
Mhm.
You add volume. So, like, that's adding more leads. I just had a conversation with somebody about this like 20 minutes ago. And he mentioned, like, hey, I was closing at 30% and like I wanted to close more. So I just figured I'd get more leads, right? The other way to scale your business is to be efficient, to maximize
Mhm.
your time in the business, right?
Right.
So I think, like that preventing that burnout, I think it stems from having like a very, very solid routine, maximizing your time on sales calls, in the
Yeah.
DMs, like doing the business, right? Like when you can come up with a really, really nice system, that burnout, it's really not a thing, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Like I it's so true because I've had both. Like when you're the most efficient, you feel the most productive, and like the fuel on the fire, you actually don't even feel that productive or like you're moving that much. It just feels like a lot's happening, if
Yes.
that makes
No, it makes perfect sense. It's almost funny too, because like when you're so efficient, you start to wonder, oh shit, what am I missing? Is there
Yeah.
something I'm supposed to be doing right now? Because that wasn't supposed to be that easy, right?
It's like waitress. I don't know if you ever were a waiter or waitress.
I wasn't, no.
I think everybody this is my 2 cents of the world. Everyone should do this. It teaches you
Yeah.
so many life skills. But it's like when you're a waitress, like when you're an efficient waitress and you're standing around and everybody else is in the weeds, like
Mhm.
freaking the frick out. It's like I'm still making really good money and I'm not stressed out like
I
everybody
mean,
else is.
that's exactly it, right? And see, maybe I wish I was a waiter at this point, because like that's a perfect analogy for some business owners, because it's not you have to this will be a really good thing too. Is like how hard you work doesn't actually mean anything.
Yes.
There's a tagline.
I know. That is pause, repeat, listen again, because
Exactly.
that's like I think a lot of business owners that I know, that's like what they think.
Yes. Because I think it's inherently true with the demographic, right? Because when you go into the gym, the hardest worker is going to generally have the best results, right?
Mhm.
And like when you come from that mindset of like working in a gym, working with clients, like it's all hard work, and then you think you have to put that into your business. I'm not saying don't work hard. What I'm saying though is the amount of hard work that you are putting in doesn't necessarily translate to more money,
Right.
right?
Exactly. It's so true. And like when it doesn't matter how many times you run up and down the restaurant. And I like if I'm able to get everything to my table faster than you, even though you ran 16 times, you're working harder, but I still made good money.
Yep. It's the work harder, not smart. Yeah, work smarter,
Yeah.
not harder, right?
Work
So
smarter, not harder.
exactly. Work harder. Damn it. No, but it's just yeah, it's you might be grinding your ass off in the business right now. But if you're listening to this, I want you to take just a second, right? And just think, am I working hard efficiently, or am I working hard for the sake of working hard? Am I working hard to say that I filled up my entire day with tasks, even
Right.
though a very small percentage of them were actually money making tasks, right?
Yeah. And I would challenge yourself because this is a lesson that I had to learn. Um, if you feel sometimes like as a business owner, I always say to like anybody, it's like the biggest personal development journey of your entire life. And so if you feel that you must be productive, aka just doing tasks all day and feeling like you're working really hard, I would ask you to like question yourself on like, do you tie your self-worth to how busy you are? And
Yes.
actually like it's like because a lot of people can't just like do their tasks for the day and then just like sit there,
Yep, that was
right?
that I'm not even gonna say that was me. That I mean that genuinely like it's like a cycle, right? Where you're like, wait a minute, I'm a business owner. I shouldn't just be hanging out right here at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, right?
Mhm.
And then you're like, what else can be done? But it's like
Yeah.
that same thought is what's going to lead to burnout. Go for a walk. Go for if you're in a cool area, go for a hike, go do something with your dog, right? Go like reset that meter because I'm telling you right now, if you are consistently just finding shit to do for the sake of saying how much you got done, it's going to be less and less it's going to be like a lower quality of work, right?
Also, like, it's not really like, is that in alignment with like your truth and like your mission of your business? Like, there's so much more to it than just like doing tasks. Like old me, and still part of me is like, oh my God, when Friday and Saturday I have nothing on the books, but really to be like, hell yeah, I got nothing on the books. Like, we can
Exactly.
plan this and this. And
Yep.
so, like, there's a lot of like, your self-worth, or like, I'm not good enough of a business owner because I don't work 7 days a week. And that's, you get to
Mhm.
create your own reality as a business owner. That's part of being a business owner.
That's just, I mean, that's it though. Is it like so I've worked with like two different types of business owners, right? I've worked with the type of person who maybe doesn't do enough. And then I've worked with a type that does so much that like even I'm blown away. Like, where do you actually find the time to be like a
Yeah.
human, right? It
Yeah.
it's like you have to remember like why you got into it. And everybody's reason is different. But like Emily, let me ask you this. Like what what would be like the gold standard for you, right? Let's say I'm gonna future pace you, right? I'm gonna step 7, 12 months from now, right? We're working together. We continue crushing it. You're generating exactly, and you don't have to put a number on it, but like you're generating the exact amount of income that allows you to do and enjoy the things that you want to. Like, what does that look like for you?
For me, it would probably be, yeah, like a four-ish, maybe like four-ish, 4.5 day work week. And then
Beautiful.
um like, if I'm thinking 12 months from now, which is on like my goals, I'm trying to like make this happen. And then because me and Austin are big outdoors people, so
Mhm.
like we'd always have something planned for the weekend, whether that be a hike or a backpack or a camp or something, or with friends. So like I got I wanted this job or own this business just to like have enough money to live a decent life. But didn't
Yes.
get into this to be a millionaire. But I wanted to just be able to fuel my life and make an impact on women and do whatever the hell I want. I like a lot of freedom. It's
Beautiful.
like a huge part of my life. So
I love it. I love it. And it's so like being able to just go out and God, you said so many things there that I just like I resonate with a ton. And you and I talk about this pretty often, but like you can get into this business, this online space, you know, to be a millionaire. That's great.
yeah,
But then you have to really question what is it about that status that's waking you up every morning? And is it enough to wake you up every morning when you're working 80 hours a week, right?
right.
I
Yeah.
love the concept of making enough money, not just enough, right? But making enough. And that can be whatever value you want.
Yeah.
Let's say it's 15K after all expenses, right?
Mhm.
After all expenses, you get to put away $15,000 a month, every month, no matter what. Like there's nothing reasonably.
That's that's a, like, that's, to me, that's a rich person. If you make 15K a month, like, to me that sounds like I'm wealthy. I'm wealthy. I would feel very wealthy making
And you
that.
can do whatever you want. And it's not even like an uncommon thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
can go, what's that?
No, I was agreeing.
Yeah, I mean it's really not like a crazy thing, and it affords you. But like people think that to be a business owner, it's millions of dollars or like multi six figures a month and all of these things. But in reality, it could be 10 or 15K or even five, right? After all expenses, if some people, you know, if you're putting away 5 grand and you're able to do whatever it is that you want, if you're able to go on the hikes, if you're able to go, I don't know, jet skiing on the weekends and travel and do like whatever it is you want, like that to me would be a wealthy person. No, not so much on the numerical value, but like what you're able to do.
Yeah, no, that's a win. Yeah. I think like it's important to decide like you can be a millionaire, and you can whatever your dream is, have that dream. I just knew I didn't want to be a millionaire or like worry about being a millionaire,
Mhm.
because like more money, more problems. Like
Right.
you have to have a huge ass team to fuel that. And like
Mhm.
I want to have my team, but I want an intimate small team. I want to be able to be like
Mhm.
feel comfortable managing that. And so there's no right or wrong. It's just like you as you go, you kind of figure it out. Cause like when I started Full Circle, I was like, I'm gonna have 9 assistant coaches. I'm gonna have
Yes.
and this. And then I was like, now I'm like, absolutely the hell not. Maybe
Yep.
4. I would like settle for 4 assistant coaches, and I think I'd be very happy.
Yeah. And it really, like you said, more money, more problem. It's like it's more staff, more responsibility, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to have, and I explain this as well, is like, okay, think about a $30,000 a month contracted, right? That's give or take 10 to 15 sales, right?
Okay. Mhm.
Give or take. And if we're playing the rule of 50s, that's about, 20 to 30 calls, 20 to 30 hours of sales effort,
A
right?
lot.
Produces about 30,000 a month.
Mhm.
Not that crazy. Okay. And 15 clients, you can sell one person every 2 days, or you can sell two people every 4 days. It's not,
Right.
it's hard. Like it takes a little bit more to get behind, but now we switch it over and you think about people doing 100 and $200,000 a month, right? And I've worked with people who've done that.
Yeah.
When you need to close two people a day, every single day, 30 days a month, right? And then you think holidays. Oh shit. People aren't getting on call. We had a bad show up rate on this holiday. So now instead of two people, it's four people the next day.
Mhm.
Oh, but
Oh
we
no,
had a
yeah.
low show up rate and maybe we didn't close anybody. Now it's six. And like that compounding, all it is compounding stress. And
Mhm.
one day, one holiday, one slow day of show ups can derail your entire month, right?
Yeah. I could also imagine, well, you would have a sales team, but still, if you were like by yourself, even if you did 3 sales calls a day, do you know how tired you'd be?
It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort and a lot of stress because if 3 days swings by and you don't get a sale, your world's crumbling, right? People are
Mhm.
freaking out because now you're not on pace. And to get back on pace or to go above and break a record, the amount of effort and resources required and ad spend and everything else is just unbelievable, right?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I think like you just have to be ready for that. If that's what you want, you have to know like what you're getting
Perfect.
yourself into, right? Like if you know, like I know I don't have a puppy. This is why I don't have a puppy, right? The idea sounds nice. But
Yes.
the execution, you have to be ready for
Oh,
that like execution. That's two different things.
yep. Exactly. Look, you have to have like the right mindset going into it. If that's what you want, great. Like crush it, dude. I'm with you and I'll help to any capacity, that you'd like, right? But realize to separate yourself from a business that does 7 figures or multi 7 figures, to separate yourself is probably not in the cards because
Yeah.
not for a while. You need an executive team at that point
Yeah.
where if you have a team of five, two ACs, a DMer, a closer, and you can give a little extra responsibility here and here and here and here. And then you don't even have to show your face for a week if you don't want to. And it's still going to be functioning.
Yeah, it's like way more manageable. Also, I think I'm really big on connections. You're able to create a lot more tight knit um
Mhm.
bonds there. Like my VA, like she is my right hand. Like I
Yeah.
can't and that's because we spend every week together, time, like lots of time, and we have a lot of trust. She does so much for me, right? And so I never want to be someone that's just like delegating orders out and it going down like a chain of command. That's just like not
Right.
how I personally am. But some people, that is them. That's just not me.
I think it's like I think it's becoming a new trend though. If it's one thing I've noticed, like I remember growing up, like it was like everything was like everybody wanted to make as much money and like build as big of teams as possible. But more and more, like especially like in our circle and the coaches that we work with and yourself, it seems like more people are starting to recognize that. Like that team of like 5 to 7 people have like your tight knit good friends, people that are gonna ride or die for years, right? And you can make sure everybody's cup is filled up too, right? You
Yeah.
have 15. Now I'm gonna say this. I did this. I scaled to a team of 14 in like 60 days. It was me, and then like things took off the way that they did, and it was 14 people that we had on our team in 2 months. And let me tell you guys, that's hard.
That is so hard. Hiring is so tough.
Oh my God.
The
Recruiting is
onboarding.
recruiting is a hellacious task. Interviewing, hiring, and then making sure like people like stay happy, right? Because like you're responsible for their income, and then but also like their ascension and like what keeps them moving and what keeps them motivated. And motivating 14 people and yourself is hard work.
Yeah,
And then
that
there's
is that is
turnover.
so
And so if you guys take anything from this, guys, I'm not I'm not pushing you away from the dream. I'm just saying maybe weigh out what it is you want from
yeah.
that $1 million a year, right? What it is that maybe that would afford you that maybe a couple 100,000 can't, right?
Yeah, you gotta, I think defining what your version of success means is really important, especially when you enter this space. I will say I have never been surrounded by so many entrepreneurs in my entire life
Mm-hmm.
than this moment in my life. And it's amazing, but it can convolute like what you believe sex or success is, because what sex, what your success is,
Common
because you're like,
misconception.
because like there's so many different people, like, you know, this person's doing this person this, and then
Yes.
it can be very confusing. And so getting grounded in like what success looks like for you is not easy, but I encourage you to like dive into that, because that was hard for me at first.
No, I think we all deal with it, especially as business owners. I think we have a tendency, at least I have a tendency to look at like I'll see an ad of somebody who does something similar, and I'm like, damn, they have 8 million followers. Holy smokes, right? And like they're like they have 18 two comma club awards. And I'm like, wow, like what it would be like. But then I'm like, in my life, can I do everything that I want to do? Yes. The answer is yes. Anything that I want to do. That's not like a humble brag, by the way. That's
Oh,
just like it's just the way that Brooke and I have set up our lives. Like we can feasibly go and do the things that we enjoy. So therefore, if I can check that box, it really doesn't matter what someone else's success looks like or feels like to them, as long as like in my circle and in my life, I can check that one box.
yeah. It's I what like I have this exercise, like I do this with my money, but you could do this with like anything. So like I have a tight budget. Like, you know, I'm not a millionaire, obviously. So I have a tight budget, but all of my money is divided up by values.
Mhm.
So like obviously there's like essentials, you know, entertainment, memories, whatever. You can create whatever you want. And you
Right.
could do that with your business too. It's like such an encouraging exercise, because you know if you're making a decision and it's in alignment with those values, same it goes with your money. When you spend money, it's a decision
Mhm.
based on a value or emotion or a belief. So you can do that with your business as well. And it can be empowering, because you're like, no, I'm staying true to these things that are value, like that I value in life.
Right.
So that when someone is doing something that you're like, oh, shiny object, I should be
Yes.
doing that. You're like, actually, that's not in alignment with what I actually want. You just kind of ground yourself back.
Exactly. That's perfect. Like the shiny object thing, right? Like I see people like all the time, like they're buying like fancy cars and stuff. And I'm like,
Yes.
wow, that's cool. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I've never cared about cars ever even once, right? Why would that even excite me? So,
I could give a shit
right.
about a
So like
car.
when when you like relate it back to like what you consider valuable and like what you see, benefit in your life, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I really am. But there's no sense in me like getting all worked up and like trying to go out and do that or one up that person, because it's just it's a losing battle.
Yeah, it's helpful because it's so easy. I mean, it's so easy. Like I made like all these things one time because I was like, oh, my friend is doing this. I need to do it. And then I was like, I don't
Mhm.
even like this. So I just like wasted all this time on something that wasn't even
Yep.
gonna help me.
Yep. Let's talk sales, Emily. Let's talk because Emily came to work with us a little while ago, a couple months ago now, right?
Yeah. September.
Yeah. And I think because to kind of like transition this, right? I think a lot of people too, like of course, like people do this for the lifestyle, but people also, and I'm sure you're no different, right? Like they do this to make an impact on people's lives. They do this to, kind of have that camaraderie and like that personal touch with like actually taking someone's like situation and making it infinitely better, right? How has like the sales process and like digging into like deep like emotional questioning, right? Like how has that helped you like develop those relationships with your clients?
Well, first it helps them. I think it helps them see that you actually care.
Mhm.
And then that can help them open up their heart to the process a little bit more,
Mm,
because
good point.
most of the people that you may get on sales they've been on calls with other people. I mean, I used to work at a
Mhm.
shitty ass gym that made me used to do this shitty ass sales process that literally hurt my bones to do. I had to
Yeah.
do it their way. I wasn't allowed to change it up, and I literally be
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I'm so sorry. like, like it was awful.
It's
And so they would be
frustrating.
like, you guys just want my money. And I'm like, yes, this is like $800 bullshit package, right? That
Yeah.
they want you to buy, right? And so with emotional questioning, especially for me personally, because the women that I work with, they really struggle with confidence, they struggle with self-worth. And
Mhm.
so asking those questions, I think helps them put themselves in, like, we're in a safe space, like we're hanging out, like you can talk to me, like what's really going on, so that when you walk into, like, now they're your client, they
Mhm.
feel like you understand them, that you
Right.
didn't just like they didn't just fill out an intake form that says I
Sure.
want to lose this, I do this. They feel like, okay, she kind of heard me, especially like if they cry or they tell you like I've been dealing with this for 10 years, or it's heavy for them. And so the emotional questioning allows for you to be the coach. Like that's who
Exactly.
you are.
And what type of responses like do you feel like you've seen kind of like having that upfront conversation, having them open up, having that connection right from the get? Like do you find that this isn't me guiding you, by the way, like you answer however you prefer, but like do you find that it actually helps you coach them down the road now that you guys have that connection?
So well, so I give all of my sales to my assistant coaches just for like transparency.
Yeah.
But what I'm able to do is deduce like a lot about this person's emotional like maturity, a lot about like what's been going on, so that I can convey that to my assistant coach, be like, hey, this woman's been dealing with this, and this, her husband, all these things, because that all matters in a fitness journey. Whether you
Absolutely.
want to, like, if you guys don't, I don't know, whoever's listening may not believe that, but like lifestyle, emotional well-being, mindset, that plays a role in someone's fitness journey. So it allows for the assistant coach to meet them where they're at, instead of
Yes.
being like, here you go, Jessica, do these 16 tasks, right? And make
Yeah.
them feel like a person.
Yep. Yeah. And then, like with other coaches too, that's been like something that I've been keeping an eye on is like compliance and retention, compliance and retention coming from a different sales approach. And it's
Yeah.
actually like it's fascinating, right? Because like that 30 to 60-minute call that you have right up top, it sets the tone and it sets the expectations for the next 4, 6, 12 months that you're going to work together, right? It's
Yeah.
we're going to have a very honest mode of communication, and I'm going to ask you really hard questions if
Yeah.
needed to keep you going. And I think that tone is just everything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I learned this a long time ago, but like your sales call, even if you like don't close the call, you're essentially like letting the potential client enter your like coaching ecosystem and getting a taste of what it's like to be with you.
Yeah,
And like, so if you're coming in hot, salesy, pushy, no emotional questions, like they're gonna be like, why would I want to coach with this person? Like,
absolutely.
yeah. And we have
Absolutely.
a killer like retention rate. We retain 66% of all of our clients.
It's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And that's kind of what happens too, like when you're selling a lot of like longer packages, right?
Yeah.
When it becomes a like more of like a lifestyle thing. Like if you're selling a lot of 3-month packages, people are very results driven, and that's great. But typically, I mean, let's be transparent, like 3 months, 12 weeks is not a lot of time to have life-changing results.
Oh my God, no. No.
When
I
you
have
go
okay.
ahead.
I was just gonna say I literally had a client this morning who most of our clients stay for 18 to 24 months.
Wow.
And
Incredible.
she was with me for a year. And she goes, thank God for that year, because now I feel like I finally did the groundwork to do the actual work,
Exactly.
because we had the bumpiest ride. The bumpiest ride. But I think it's important. And I think that, like, because of all that emotional piece, you can really connect with them and have them for a long time.
100%, because it's like the expectation and the mindset coming into it, right? If I'm coming into something for 3 months, I'm coming into it very results driven, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
not changing my life in 3 months. I'm just not, right? Very rarely for anything, let alone fitness and weight loss, you're going to change your life in 3 months.
Right.
So when when you bring somebody on for 12 months, it becomes a life. I know it's so cheesy, but it really does. It gets them thinking long term, right?
Yeah.
It gets them thinking it's an identity thing, like where they're like, who am I going to become in 12 months? And then when 12 months rolls around, it's like, okay, well, this is who I am. This
Yeah.
is what I've done. This is what I do. Why would I change now? Let's re-sign. Get me for another 12, Emily.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And like, if you are like trying to create your like programming or methodology, I would encourage whoever's listening to think of something that spans over an 18th month period and
Mhm.
say, like, this is what we do and why we do it, which Brent teaches obviously in the course, like, that language. But even when you have just like the copy behind it to show, like, no, like, literally, we expect you to be here for this long because of this
Yep.
reason.
And there's so many different ways that you can frame it. Like it's just like, because what we found, because what we've seen with these very successful clients, right, is because they don't come into it thinking it's a short-term fix, right? And everybody knows, right? When you can retain clients, when you can keep organic, inbound leads coming, like staying in your ecosystem, that's always the most profitable. It costs you literally extra effort, zero extra money to retain that client for another 12 months. That's another 4, 5, 6 grand that you
Yeah.
just made again, right?
Yes. And you can like actually do the fun stuff as a coach. Like, once you get them past that like first hump of all the like BS you got to do of like baby habits and stuff, you get to like work on fun stuff. Like, I have another client who's been here 18 months, and we can like do fun lifts now. Like, we can
Yes.
do all the fun stuff because she got through level 1 essentially, and you can
Yep.
be a better coach. And then she's going to tell her friends about, like, yeah, I'm doing this. Like, you just,
Mhm.
it helps.
It's just another expense too. I mean,
Mhm.
if ideally they're paying in full, but if they're paying like monthly, it's like, okay, it's just it's just like a utility, right?
Yeah.
They don't even think about it. That money's already allocated and clearly they're surviving, right?
Yeah.
So it's really such an easy sale. Like, so, and I know there's going to be people listening that are going to be like, oh yeah, okay, Brent and Emily. Like, of course, like it's easy to sit and talk on a podcast about selling people for 12 and 18 months at 4 to 6K, right? But I mean, it's pretty standard stuff, right? Like, how many times a day do you see in the chat somebody, and to be very frank with you, I think someone just messaged in it not long ago.
Sure. That
Yeah.
that I will say is the most pop-in chat I'm a part of.
I
Like,
love
not in
that.
a negative way. Like, I'm in a lot of chats. I'm in
Yes.
so many chats, it's not even funny. And that chat is always going off positive. Anyone asks a question, it's responded, not just by Brent, but like other coaches, like, this is what I do, this is what I tried.
I
I
love it.
copy and paste wording. I have a whole notes document from C4F of like, oh, I need to remember this. Oh, and I
Yep.
actually share it with Emma. And I'm like, this is from the chat. Like, don't
Yes.
forget, this is helpful.
Dude, it's that's got to be one of my most proud things I think I've created, is like such an interactive community of like everybody's like looking out for everybody. And what
Yeah.
we're referring to, guys, is like we have a WhatsApp chat that's like our students and our members, like when they join you hop into this chat, and I'm gonna do a study. I'm always about the data, but I would venture to say that that chat's responsible for at least $100,000 worth of fitness being sold every month, right?
It's the best. It's
Just
the
people
best
like,
because ask anything.
yeah. And I mean, anything from the beginning of the process to the end, like And if you have questions on, oh, what should I do going into this call, or how should I handle this or this or this or this? Like, I think it's genuinely responsible for at least 100,000 worth of fitness every month, just in like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So,
How can I word this? I did want to say too, you mentioned like people listening might think like $4,000 or $5,000 packages are like a lot. To like go back to the beginning of in-person training, like it's not a lot, because like I had people
yeah,
paying $85 a session 3 times a week. Like
yeah,
do that math. Like
yeah,
they're paying stupid money
right.
for nothing, literally nothing.
It's like almost
So
$1,000 a month, or if maybe it is 1,000. Like, and and here's the thing, right? And like when we objection handle this, it's the same way. It's like, do you want someone who's going to be with you 3 hours a week, or do you want the opportunity to reach out to your coach 24 hours a day,
mhm.
4 weeks out of the month, right? Where do you feel? And of course, we're never going to tell anybody anything. Here's a sales tip, guys. It's embedded deep into this one. We don't tell people things. We get them to tell us, right? So it's like, where do you feel like you'd have the most benefit, or where do you feel like you'd get the most support? Do you feel like it'd be during that 1 hour session, 2, 3 times a week, or do you feel like it'd be at the, at the touch of a button at any point throughout the entire month? Well, what would be more helpful? Of course, they're going to say, what, Emily?
Oh, at the touch of a button.
Oh, okay. Okay. So if you feel like that's where you're going to get the most support, and if you feel like that's what's going to help you the most, I suppose, like, what do you kind of see as the next step here? And then that's how I would ask for the sale, and then we'd move on, right? Like that's so guys, clip that, write that down. That's going to be one way to handle the in-person versus online training. So just to kind of bring all this to full circle, right? And you like how I did that there?
Yeah. Full circle coaching.
Exactly. Little input there for you. But to bring this full circle, Emily, I guess, when it comes to dialing in your sales process, when it comes to being more efficient, when it comes to scaling your business on efficiency rather than volume, what would be like your advice for any listeners out there, like as far as like your closing remarks here?
On efficiency. That's a hard question.
It is. I figured I'd been teeing you up for the last 40 minutes. I wanted to hit you with a hard one right at the end.
Like my method or like my thoughts?
Like your thoughts, like, when it comes to scaling, like why maybe, and you can tell me either way, but like why you've chosen, like why you invested in yourself to become more efficient at what you do, as opposed to just buying ads and pouring volume and pouring fuel on the fire and just continuing to do like what you did before.
Yeah. So one, I would say you're more connected to the process and your business in a more efficient way. I don't even run ads. So for
Right.
me, it's all about the efficiency, because I want to be a part of the whole process and make sure that this person is a good fit and that we can actually help them.
Sure.
Um, but also like, I think like by just throwing gasoline on the fire, you're not really setting yourself up for like your why, like why you got into this in the first place. Like
Mm-hmm.
my dad is king of throwing gasoline on the fire. He's redneck as hell, and that's what he does all the
Love it.
time, right? And then it burns out,
Yes.
right? You have to keep doing that.
Burns hot
And
and
like,
fast.
yes. And so you're going to be bummed out. And like, you did this to enjoy your life. You didn't do this to like bring more stress and anxiety and all of those things in a
Mm-hmm.
negative way. So, like, go for the long game, right? Go for the long game of efficiency. Go for the long game of like loving your business, loving your life, and loving your clients. Cause I'm sure for the most of you, like, that's why you did this in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I love it. I love the reference to like the, like the fire and the flames as well. I said this to someone at one point, and I think it's very true. But there's two ways to stay warm, right? You can have the gasoline. You can, again, I'm giving that reference. You can pour it on the fire, and it burns hot and it burns fast, and it's very limited. Okay, but you can keep doing it, hoping for like sustainable change, but it doesn't happen. And then there's the other person who builds the fire. They build a foundation. They stack the wood in a certain way to where it's going to burn long. It's going to burn efficient. And then they even stack the wood on top or next to it, so they're not gathering firewood all night long.
Yeah.
That person can sleep soundly and enjoy the fruits of their labor, where the other person, because they didn't put the work in, because they didn't build that foundation and take the time up front, they're gonna run out of fuel eventually, and they're gonna shiver all night.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
Yeah, because we're both a little bit hippie in the fact that we like our camping and our hiking and rock climbing and everything else. So figured I would throw that little snippet in there. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. This is Emily. She's an absolute killer. She runs a phenomenal business. If you guys have any questions, obviously reach out to myself or Emily. But other than that, I appreciate you guys and thank you for listening.